Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. My name is, of course, Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram. Today we continue to look at this Marvel Legends Riders wave, and this is the second figure in the series, and it is Ghost Rider. Now obviously when you think of Ghost Rider you think of his Howl Cycle, so it was a very obvious choice for Hasbro to give us Ghost Rider in their first wave of Riders. Now as I've previously mentioned, this is Hasbro's first step to giving us Marvel Legend vehicles, so please go out and support the line. We've already seen Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow's bike. We are getting a Logan and Logan's chopper, and then maybe, fingers crossed, we get a Professor X hover chair, maybe a Punisher riot van. As I said, possibilities are limitless, but go out and support these so they give us more vehicles, because I myself want more vehicles for my dioramas and my displays. So yeah, very much look forward to opening this, as I do very much want my Ghost Rider displayed on his bike, and it's got some very nice flame effects as well. So yeah, look forward to opening it up. So as you can see, Ghost Rider logo. You can see the Howl Cycle with the flames, looking very good in the box. Can't show you the side pictures because my table's too small, but I can show you the back, and that's a nice promo picture of a Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze himself, and some pictures of the bike. The bio reads, Johnny Blaze fires up his iconic motorcycle and the pavement as the streetwise hothead Ghost Rider. So yeah, without further ado people, let's get this box open and see what it's like. Pow, and here is the Ghost Rider out of the box, and I must say, first impressions of this rider as I was talking about out of the box are so much higher than the Black Widow figure. It really is a decent piece, people. Like for me personally, I buy figures, display them on the shelf, and this is definitely a piece that you can see pop on the shelf. I really like the flame effects. As I said, the Black Widow didn't really come with a lot, where this guy has a bit of life, it has a bit of character to the figure. So you could straight away take this out of the box, plop it on the shelf, and it already looks really good and will stand out. I've not even took off the plastic bits that are holding these flame bits to the bike yet, so I've still got to do that, but I just thought I'd throw it in front of the camera first and just have a first look. And yeah, really good, people. All the way around, all 360, it looks really good. Of course, as I said, I've got to take off these plastic bits holding the flame on, but the bike looks really good. I think it's the size of the bike is a little bit more impressive than the previous Black Widow. The figure sits on the bike really well. His feet can be put in all the right places without him awkwardly falling off. He's obviously sitting on the seat. He's got the chain effect with, it's not articulated unfortunately, but it does have some flame effects, so you can get him posed nice. I like the skull on this guy. It's got more of a sort of skull tone colour rather than that translucent white we got with the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave version. And yeah, just a really good piece. Obviously Ghost Rider is infamous for having his Howl Cycle, and it's really good that Hasbro have given us one. I think this blows any of the previous Toy Biz versions out of the water, which I don't have, so it is nice to have a version. Even this front piece here, this obviously can pop off and you can have it just as a normal bike if you wanted to. But I will look into all those details in a minute, but first let's compare the figure to the previous one. Now, before getting to comparisons, let's look at this guy on his own first. It is the same figure, essentially, just different colours. This guy's a much more navy blue and a light blue. There's a different tone to the skull, which I do actually prefer, but I actually prefer the black on the other one, so maybe I'll be able to do some mix and matching. But yeah, it is the same body we've seen before. It's the AIM figure, it's the Star-Lord figure, and it is the previous Ghost Rider figure. And it's a decent body. The articulation is fine. It works for this figure, so I'm not complaining about that at all. I just prefer the black suit, really. But I do prefer this skull. So I'll compare them in a second, but let's look at this accessory. The last one come with a chain around his waist. This guy doesn't, but he does come with a chain with some fire effect, which I do appreciate. It's made of a soft plastic, so it's not articulated, but you can still get him to hold it in either hand and obviously just get him posed however you want, and you can get it being menacing. As I said, the jaw does articulate like on the previous one, but the jaw's a different size, and again, I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, you can definitely get this guy coming to life on your shelf already, and that's what I like about these figures, that stand out a little bit more, and this one definitely does. So yeah, let's compare him to the previous version. Pal, now this is the previous version. Obviously mine looks a little bit different. I've got those flame effects attached to his wrists that you didn't get with the figure, but they sort of do fit on, and mine's been displayed with like this articulated chain. Shout out to Steve, who I got this chain from, Steve Chanji, I believe his name was. I got that off a Facebook group, and it's just a chain, but it's articulated, so you can get it to pose around, and then with these flame effects are really good. And I've obviously replaced the chain that this guy had on in the center, which was just a plain plastic chain, and replaced it with an actual chain, which just looks a little bit more authentic. And then this articulated chain looks really, really good, especially when this guy didn't come with any weapons at all. You can definitely get that chain looking really, really good. So I'm going to use that chain with this new guy, possibly, who knows, but I do like that this one has a little bit of flame effects on it. But let's take the chain out of his hand. I can't remember how I've got it on. There you go. So there you can see, articulated, fully articulated, can move around. Let's get this guy standing back up. And let's get this guy standing back. Let's move all these pieces out of the way. So here we go. This is the two. As I said, exactly the same figure, just different colours. I do prefer, as I've already mentioned, the sort of darker tone. Looking at it now, it does actually look a bit more navy than it does black, but still, I do prefer this tone of the suit than I do this blue, even though the blue matches the cycle, so it's going to be a little bit hard to decide which one I want to keep. But let's get a bit closer into these figures. Just talking about them, and then miles away from the camera, but you can see what I'm talking about anyway, people, can't you? Anyway, let me move these out of the way. So yeah, different colours. This guy has an actual chain. This is the chain that come previously, as I've mentioned, and if I wanted to, I could put this on this guy, easy, not a problem. Pop off his head, and then literally just put that around the neck and the arm. And it's soft enough plastic where you can get it to fit. Bit of a squeeze, but it will fit. There we go. And that, now he has a chain, I suppose, so we can have it pose like that. Now, while I've got the head off, let's do a head swap. Just because, as I said, this might be how I have mine. See, I actually prefer that. That is how I prefer. That is probably how I'm going to have my Ghost Rider. An actual chain around his waist. The skull, I just prefer this tone of the skull. I appreciate that it's articulated still. And yeah, that for me, that is going to be my defining it, I can't even speak, but that is going to be my Ghost Rider. Let me swap the heads back and I'll show you the jaws don't line up, and it's so frustrating because I ain't got OCD or anything, but I don't know, with stuff like this, it just bugs me. I don't understand if it's the exact same mold, why the jaw lines wouldn't sync up. So I'm going to have to zoom the camera in to show you what I'm talking about and put them to their side. So hopefully I can get on both the stand. This guy has an underbite, and this guy they sync up, and I think I prefer the syncing up. Even though I do think it's human nature to have an overbite, but let's zoom in and see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Now, can you see what I'm talking about, people? If my camera will focus. So this guy has an overbite, which humans do, so I suppose that's a more realistic skull. And then this guy, the jawline sync up. So I'm not too sure which I prefer. The more authentic human skull, maybe, or just the OCD in me that the jawline sync up. They're both articulated though, so they're both decent. But I'm not too sure which I prefer. I do prefer that tone though. I do prefer the colour of that skull. Much more realistic than this translucent white. And obviously you can see the fire effects are a little bit different as well. This fire effects definitely match up with the bike a lot more. So yeah, have fun mixing around. Which Ghost Rider do you prefer? But yeah, genuinely up to you. Own personal preference. Let's look at the bike. Pow, now here's a look at the bike, and this is how it come with all these pieces attached, and it does look really good. Just spin this around real quick. Again, I wish I had a rotating base, but I don't. Yeah, really good beefy bike, really good scale for the figures. Really like these flame effects as well. I like the translucent yellow. So you've really got to always have the flame effects on this piece to make it stand out. Otherwise, it's just going to be a Harley with a luminous yellow wheels, which would be a little bit unrealistic. But still, I really like this front piece as well for the figure. But again, you can strip it all off. So let's take all the pieces off, shall we, so you can see exactly what it is. So as I said, this front piece comes off, and it's just a normal bike. Mysterious. These flame pieces come off, and they've all these flame effects have pegs on as well, which is really good to note, so you can plug them in. Again, this comes off easy, that comes off easy. This flame effect, I think, is actually glued on, unfortunately, so you're always going to have that little tiny baby tail flame. It would have been good to have interchangeable wheels just so you could have a normal bike, because, again, I don't understand why you'd have him pose like this without the flame effects on, because it just looks weird with bright yellow wheels. But just looking at the bike itself with everything off, it is really good. As I said, the kickstand is a lot more sturdy than the previous one. Easy to work as well, comes down and it flips on both sides rather than just the one, so it sits on that nice. The articulation is for the steering. That was a separate piece that you had to plop on when you took out of the box. Obviously the box wasn't big enough, but it was simple enough. Speedometer there as well. Let's do a quick zoom in so you can I can show you the details. Again, it would have been good to have some dry brushing, especially to try and cover up these screws. No screws on this side though, so again the dry brushing would have been appreciated here. Bright yellow wheels, they're rubber as well, so you get a really good motion in them. Both of them spin really well. There's no suspension on the back, but not really needed for this bike because it's quite sturdy. And again, full articulation on the actual steering. Then you get a speedometer there, gas tank, again a leverish style seat, and that baby little tail flame as well at the back. So let's put all, wow, before we do that, should I bring in, no. Yeah, should I bring in the other bike? Yeah, okay, so here is Black Widow, of course. So you can see in regards to the bike sizes, this one is bigger by probably about an inch. But in regards to height, they probably are a little bit, probably about the same. Maybe this one a tiny bit taller just because the handlebars are obviously going above her chest there. So yeah, these are the two bikes. Hopefully we're getting more riders. Definitely Wolverine's been confirmed, but apparently there's rumours we're going to have a fourth rider before the year is out as well. So fingers crossed for something to do with maybe Professor X hover chair or a Punisher van. I doubt we're going to get a van, but that would be really good, wouldn't it? But yeah, probably a Captain America. Very likely they're just going to retool this for a Captain America. But yeah, I'm rambling again. Shall I put the flame effects back on this and see how easy it is? So there we have the Ghost Rider back on his bike with all of the flame pieces attached. As I've previously mentioned, the flame pieces do have like peg holes, and there are pegs on the bike, so you can plug them back in. They are a little bit fiddly. I did do it on camera, but it was embarrassing the amount of time it took me to put them in for the first time. But they do plug in, and they do stay in place then when you've got them on the bike as well. And I do appreciate how sturdy this stand is. But again, see, told you, things pop off when I don't want it to. On camera, embarrassing me, Johnny Blaze, embarrassing me. But yeah, there you go. Looks really good, people, done it. Kids buying this just to have fun with are going to enjoy this figure. But for me, as a display piece, it looks really, really good and very happy with it. Out of the two riders, this is definitely my favourite so far. As I've said, we're going to get Logan later in the year on this retooled chopper. And again, probably a fourth before the year is out. Who knows what that is though? Let me know in the comments below. Who do you want the fourth rider to be? But yeah, here are the two riders. Bringing them both in now. Decent riders wave, people. So happy that Marvel Legends are doing vehicles. So I was always going to support the line, as I've previously mentioned. So please go out there and buy these figures if you want to see more Marvel Legend vehicles, whatnot. They did do a Build-A-Vehicle Build-A-Figure recently with that Vulture. They did call it a Build-A-Figure, so maybe they will give us a Build-A-Figure vehicle in the future. Who knows? I told you, my fingers are still crossed for that 1/12 scale Quinjet. Never gonna happen, but still, I can dream, people. Let me know in the comments, what do you think are the Riders Wave? Have you got them? Have you got one of them? Which one did you go for? Again, Ghost Rider is my favourite, but the Black Widow is very, very nice. As always, people, check out that videos tab. I'm on my way to 2,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button. It would be much, much appreciated. And as always, my name is Dan W, and I shall see you on the next one.